Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean O'Connor, and I'm one of Glenn's 7 siblings. On behalf of the entire O'Connor family, I want to thank everyone for being here to celebrate Glenn's life. When talking to Glenn a couple of weeks ago about his funeral wishes, he asked that I do a eulogy or remembrance at his funeral mass. Shortly after his death, we met with Father Pat to plan the Mass and conveyed Glenn's wish that I have this talk. Father Pat indicated that this request is highly unusual and that we'd have to ask the Archbishop for permission. So first of all, thank you, Archbishop Thompson, for permission. Now, I'm fairly certain that Glenn has attended 1 or 2 priest funerals in this very cathedral, and that he certainly knew that standard protocol would not include a remembrance from a family member, which is precisely why he asked for it. That is vintage Glenn, doing things his way, again, from heaven. I'm also sure that he knew that we would experience a little resistance with his request, but he asked us to do it anyway. Thanks, bro. Glenn was the first of 8 children born to Glenn and Eileen O'Connor. He was the family trailblazer, and blaze a trail he did. Glenn's energy and enthusiasm began day one and continued the balance of his life. That energy during his youth manifested itself in, shall we say, mischievous behavior. The stories from back then are legendary, and I'm sure they'll be retold today. When Glenn finally moved out of the house, our parents were so gassed that the rest of us could do whatever we wanted. Then one day, Glenn came home and announced that he wanted to be a priest. A mind-blowing proposition that was most profound and very much to the benefit of everyone here today. In a nutshell, Glenn loved God, people, and life. He was the most Christ-like person that I have ever encountered. My brother Tom informed Archbishop Thompson that Glenn passed away last Friday, to which the Archbishop responded, "If Glenn does not go to heaven, then he, the Archbishop, is in trouble." I spoke with Cardinal Tobin that same day, who conveyed similar condolences and stated that he, the Cardinal, wanted to be a priest like Glenn. Glenn was ordained May 17, 1980, and was eager to get started in his priestly endeavors. Step 1, he needed business cards. Taking into consideration his Irish heritage and his new mission in life, he chose white paper stock, green lettering, a shamrock, and the following: Reverend Glenn O'Connor, working to beat hell. That pretty much sums it up, Glenn style. Since being ordained nearly 40 years ago, Glenn has been assigned to 6 different parishes. At each stop, he made lifelong friends and changed lives for the better. In addition to his parish work, he spent significant time in various capacities at the Indianapolis Airport, Seeds of Hope, Hibernians, Indiana Department of Corrections, Curcio, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I just learned yesterday the Indianapolis Police Department. I tried to figure out what that connection was. Well, he collected traffic tickets like wallpaper. Glenn often joked that he had the best job in the world, as he only had to work 1 day a week, Sunday. Actually, though, in order to accomplish all he did, 16-hour days were very routine for Glenn. He would begin each day at 6 a.m. with the morning breviary and a cup of coffee, go to work at the parish and school, have about a 5-minute standing lunch around 3 p.m., head out for hospitals, meetings, events, what have you, get back home for dinner, if he's lucky, around 10 p.m., and fall asleep watching the evening news, only to start over the next day. While Glenn was with us for only 66 years, I figure his accomplishments would take a normal person about 110. At each organization, he faced a myriad of challenges. Many times these challenges were financial in nature. Glenn became the consummate fundraiser. Now, please raise your hand if Glenn has ever asked you to buy and or sell a raffle ticket. There we go. His best work, however, was serving others. That service included his normal priestly duties of saying Mass, taking confessions, baptisms, weddings, funerals. By the way, he used to like to call that hatch 'em, match 'em, and dispatch 'em. In carrying out these responsibilities, he often used humor to soothe emotional stress. In addition to his regular duties, he counseled women at Seeds of Hope, helped women in crisis pregnancies, said Mass, and talked with prisoners, directly worked with the homeless. Glenn literally gave the shirt off his back, food from his pantry, and money from his own wallet directly to those less fortunate. If you needed help, spiritually, physically, financially, or really anything else, Glenn was there. If you needed no help, Glenn was there also, very much enjoying your company and prodding you to join him in helping others. His spirit was so contagious that we all gathered around him and accomplished much good, and we all need to continue to do that in his honor. Now, Glenn was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in August of 2017, the same type of cancer that took our dad 37 years ago. After reluctantly informing us of his condition, Glenn placed us all under a gag order. He was well aware of what the end result would be, and he wanted to continue his work at breakneck speed with nobody having him suggesting that he take a leave of absence. My sister Maureen and my wife Chris attended his chemo treatments every 3 weeks for the last 18 months. They told me Glenn would typically arrive at the oncology center with about 30 seconds to spare, let the nurses know all the things he had to accomplish, and encouraged them to hurry up. When he finished, he ran back to his car and headed out to the next event. A truly extraordinary man. In December of 1986, a baby by the name of James Doyle was born premature, weighing just 1 pound, 4 ounces, and given virtually no chance of survival. James remained in the hospital for 8 months until he was finally able to go home. His parents will tell you that Glenn visited and prayed over James every single day for 8 straight months. Now, James was a family friend, and for the next 18 years, every time Glenn saw James, usually at Lake Wawasee, he would say, "James, hold the ladder steady," a phrase that became near and dear to the Doyle family. We also received a note last week from another family that had a son named Riley, born premature 19 years ago. That family stated that Glenn prayed over Riley 100 of the 102 days that he was in the hospital. Riley is now a freshman at Ball State. There was also a post on the funeral website about a man who was in a coma for 3 months 10 years ago. His wife told him that Glenn prayed over him every single day for 3 months. And finally, yesterday at the viewing, a woman came up to me and she said that a month ago she had a stroke and she was in the hospital. And she spoke with Glenn on the phone, and Glenn was profusely apologizing for not being able to make it to the hospital. But he would pray for her from his place. And she said that her neurologist has no explanation, but there is no residual effect from that stroke. Now, was the survival of these people the result of modern medicine or miracles at the hands of Glenn? I am hopeful and confident that we'll hear other stories in the days to come of miraculous occurrences in Glenn's presence. We will not know the answer to this question until we hopefully are reunited with him in heaven, but I am inclined to conclude that these indeed were miracles and that he qualifies. I had another conversation with Cardinal Tobin on Sunday, and he said that he intends to talk with Pope Francis about Glenn. Well, I don't know specifically what the Cardinal has in mind, but hopefully those and other potential miracles will be discussed. Can you imagine St. Glenn O'Connor? I can, because I truly believe he's a saint. Now, Glenn, as you know, would be aghast that I even said something like that, because he never sought recognition for all the good he did. So I say to you, Glenn, back at you, bro. Now, social media is an amazing thing. I was able to read literally thousands of posts from around the world about Glenn on various outlets, and I counted at least 40 posts where the author claimed Glenn as his best friend or her best friend. How can someone have so many best friends? That is because Glenn was a selfless servant who treated everyone the same. Essentially, we were all Glenn's best friend. He loved us all as we loved him. God bless you, Glenn.